Dave Palumbo here with another RxMuscle rant. Today I am joined by Chris, the technician Aceto, and the topic is parasites in our industry. That's right, news agencies that feed off of the other people that are putting out original content. People that are talking about original ideas, original analysis, and people and news agencies that just feed off of that. And there's many of them out there. But I want to center, look, Chris, I want to just mention right off the bat that I didn't want to ever bring up the name Christian Duke again. I was content never to say it ever again in my life. He worked for me 3 times. I fired him twice. I should never even rehired him. Now he's over there working for muscular development. Actually, he's not working because he's donating his services for free. And his main agenda or itinerary is basically to trash anything that I do in any way possible. He has no other coverage of anything else other than to cover Dave Palumbo. He's essentially my shadow. And Bleckman, obviously, who has who's been trying to get back at me for years because of me exposing all his ridiculousness that he's done. His latest being owing hundreds of thousands of dollars to people who work for him. That's why he's got people working for free for him. Has endorsed and allowed this parasite to work for the muscular development, brand name, which obviously is mud now. It's worth nothing. And I think what it does is it sends a very bad message. It ruins I mean, MD had a great legacy over there at that magazine, and they've basically destroyed it by, number one, having no one who could work for them because they don't pay anyone, and that's Bleckman's fault. And then by allowing people like Dookie, who have no original ideas of their own, to disparage someone or, me essentially, who's probably the most truthful, honest journalist in the bodybuilding industry.
Well, what is the president of bodybuilding even taking a text from Christian Duque for? I mean, he's got a website with like 12 people following it, and the only following that he has on MD, he has 0, with the exception of when he talks negatively about you. He's one of these guys on MD. I don't live in a bubble. I go over there sometimes. That the quote, people who are on MD, members or whatever, people who go to the forum, the few that are left, they come out in droves and say he's doing a terrible job. So besides doing a terrible job, he's defaming you to Jim Mannion. So,
well, you make a good point. He texted Jim Mannion earlier today and said that Dave Palumbo is, I have on good authority, that Dave Palumbo is working with Wayne D'Amelia, who's obviously.
Well, what authority? What authority does
There's no authority. There's no authority.
Oh, he just made it up between his chin and his forehead and between his right ear and his left ear. It came out of his own head. It's a lie. Mm-hmm. So, it's defamation. It's lying, and and it's so that he can. What the problem is, Dave, is he's jealous of you and he thinks that he's competition for you. So he'll do anything, including text people and make up lies to, quote, clear you out of the picture so he can, take over interviewing people or something? I mean, he can't interview anyone. He can't come up with any original ideas. He can only copycat what other people are doing, not only copying you, but anyone else. I mean, there's nothing unique about what he brings to muscular development. In fact, say what you want about muscular development, he's like the last man on the totem pole. Everyone else has been fired. Everyone else has either quit. Everyone else has either walked away because they were owed money. And that's the only reason Christian Duque is there. It's like saying Phil in the top 10 or top 250 bodybuilders, 50,000 bodybuilders in the bodybuilding universe all stop training, and I say, you know what, I think I'll give the Olympia a shot. Well, great, you're the 400,000th best bodybuilder on earth. There's no one left at all. So now you can, have a position of being a professional bodybuilder. In other words, there's no one left there. Literally nothing. It's Ron in his house, workaholic Ron, and I mean that in a good way. Even Sean's not there anymore. So it's just, Boston, Mass, his very own Ron Harris, and it's out on Long Island or Aspen, wherever he is, running around, Steve Blackman, and Christian Duque working for some total of $0.00 a month. It's insane, really. Well, so the only thing that they have that they can do to try to drive traffic is talk negatively about you, Dave, because the fact is, and that's not my opinion, it's a fact that when you're introduced onto their forums, it's the number one or number two or number three at worst thread up there, including higher rated than, let's say, the Frigno Legacy, Lou Frigno, the Incredible Hulk. The one of the better bodybuilding shows of the year was 30 great competitors. Doesn't get as many hits as Dave Palumbo arrested at the Nationals. So Duque sees that, and he seizes on that because he can't review a bodybuilding show. At least Sean Ray could do that, or Ron Harris can do that, because he has no credibility to say how Cedric look, how Jose Raymond look, how Josh Wade look. So he can't segue into any of that. He can just like create lies and gossip, and that's where he is at this point.
Well, that's where muscular development is at this point. They have zero journalistic integrity, and they got a person who's got zero journalistic integrity working for them. And Duque basically is like you said, fabricating lies to try to make himself look like the, first of all, he's basically a rat, essentially. He wants to rat out anything he possibly can to try to score brownie points. Once again, a typical parasite in our industry, feeding off of the fecal matter that I'm expelling from my butt and that everyone else is expelling. He will feed off of that and try to find morsels of corn in there so that he can offer up to Jim Mannion or Steve Weinberg or anyone who have no interest in anything he has to say anyway. They're just...
how do they even know him? How would they know him? I don't understand the idea that, Steve Weinberger or Jim Mannion wouldn't even know who he is.
They don't respond to him. He's like a festering pimple on your fucking rear end that you just pop, and then all that crap comes out.
I mean, it's one thing. So it is what it is. It's not only about MD, although it's about Steve Blackman, because he's encouraging it, obviously, because he knows what's going on. Like, he's encouraging. He might be even telling Duque to create the stuff. Who knows? Yeah. But
let's strategize. We're going to strategize how to get these guys. We don't have any content. We have no people who work for us. Make up stories. It's good. Just cover everything they do. Because that's it's all Blackman's fault, really, because Blackman is obsessed with what we do over here. He watches the content on RxMuscle more than he watches his own content, and then he calls up these guys. Well, he only has one guy working for him now. Ron, write about what they're doing over there at RX. Christian, do something controversial. But Steve, I have nothing to write about. Make it up. Just call Jim Mannion up. Make it up. Make something up. Just be controversial. That's the integrity level that they're at over there now.
It went from science. Imagine it went from we're the science magazine with the research on building muscle, which who even cares, because you don't need to be a scientist to be a bodybuilder. But that was always Steve Blackman's shtick. Yeah. To we have everyone under contract, and then that all went away. Till we're not cutting back. Till we owe everyone everywhere money. Our debt is bigger than the United States' debt. To we're still here. Till I can't even believe since Sean Ray left, and that they still have anyone there other than workaholic Ron. And to Ron's defense, of course, Steve Weinberg would know who Ron Harris is, or anyone in the NPC office, including Jim Mannion, would know who Ron Harris is, because he's a workaholic. He's been around for 30 years writing for magazines and covering the sport and doing something, but to the idea that Christian Duque has any credibility to call up anyone and say, I just can't imagine Christian Duque calling up, let's say, Dennis Wolf, someone significant in the industry, or, Kai Green, or Phil Heath, and having a conversation with them.
But you know what, Chris, he tries, but everyone just ignores him because he's like a he's like a weird Uncle Fester looking like creep.
Of course he tries, because I even have him on my Rolodex. I even have him on my phone because I get text messages from him a few years ago, and I'm like, who is this? And he said Christian Duque, and I'm like, who? I like who? I still didn't know who it was, even though he gave me his first and last name. I had to Google it.
You know what the funny thing was? I gave this guy an opportunity to work over here at RxMuscle a couple times, but he's such a nutcase that he cost himself his own position. And I still was nice to him just because I'm a nice guy. And he decided he was going to go on this rampage against me and try to twist and turn every little word I say to make it look cost me. He's trying to get me my advertisers to pull out. He's trying to be like a badass, because he probably figures Bleckman, that's the only reason Bleckman will pay any attention to him or call him up on the phone at all, or even allow him to be on their website. So it goes back to what I said originally. It's about the parasites in this industry, and there are a lot of them. This is just like to the point where I just want to, like I said, pop that pimple and get rid of it. And you know what? You wanted me to talk about you? I'm talking about you, Christian. You have no talent, okay? You have no original ideas, and no one really gives a crap about what you have to say. And I said it. And you know what the truth is? I just gave you the most publicity you'll ever get in your entire lifetime. You should thank me for putting you down and ask me for more and more and more, because I'm the only one who will spoon feed you any acknowledgement anywhere.
Dave, to be clear, you should be clear, because I think you're conflating issues. Because people can talk negatively about Dave Palumbo or RxMuscle, and they can say, they can voice their opinion about you, what you're doing or what you're not doing. They can make fun of you, what you're doing or not doing. They can make fun of the website. They can do all of that. Where you cross the line, and that is the reason why I know you're so furious, is when you call someone or you text someone and you don't say, Dave's an idiot, or, I hate Dave,
right,
or Dave's site doesn't have any traffic, and no one listens to Dave, and no one watches Dave, and no one respects Dave. But when you start creating lies and saying that, Dave is in a kibbutz with Wayne D'Amelio and they talk daily, or Dave is, this far away, an inch away from putting together a deal with Wayne D'Amelio, it requires a response. And that, I think, is the purpose of today's little
well, the reason
show.
is because I'm the most loyal person around. I'm very loyal to the people who I give my devotion to and who I put my passions and energy into. And I'd be the first person to say, if I was going anyplace else, I would tell everyone. I'm an open book in that sense. So I don't appreciate when people try to disparage my reputation, because that's something that I take very personally, because my character and the convictions that I have in life are something that I hold very close to my heart. And as my friend Mel Chansey, who actually is the one who tipped me off on all this initially, would know, him and I are very, very loyal to each other. We're very tight friends.
He leaked it. Mel leaked it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is we're friends, and to suggest that I would turn my back on my friends in any way whatsoever is something that's reprehensible, and that's why I call him a parasite with no original ideas. And people like that should be gotten rid of from the industry. All the people out there watching things should not want to have to watch someone who they can't, number one, trust what they do, who's a sneak, and who's mentally unsound. So here's a lot of fodder for you to work on now. You could probably make 4,000 videos based on this one video we just did. But the bottom line is that I am sick of parasites in this industry. I know you are too, Chris, and I'm sick of the agencies that support these parasites, MD. And that is my final rant for the day. Dave Palumbo here with Chris the Technician Aceto. We'll see you next week for another RxMuscle rant.